Hello, learner. Welcome to Mr. Quickest Teaches. I am Mr. Quickest. In this lesson, I'll be analyzing George Dzirtes' poem, Song. That's the title of the poem, is Song. This analysis is part of the 15 poems in the GCSE or IGCSE anthology. And I've analyzed all 15 poems into a course. The course contains all the 15 poems individually analyzed. It also contains predicted GCSE or IGCSE questions that are very useful. So when you listen to the analysis of the poem, you can try your hands on some of the predicted questions. Now, additionally, the course also contains sample A star or grade 9 essays. So you can look at how some of the questions, the predicted questions have been answered, and then look at it and help to see, if you can mimic or replicate it. So it's very useful because sometimes students have a fair understanding of a poem or a question, but they're unable to present what their understanding on the piece of paper, and so that makes them lose marks. So that's the usefulness of the grade 9 or sample A star essay. So you can look at it and mimic. Now, to gain access to the analysis, it's £5 a month in subscription or £45 a year for subscription. Now that means that you get to save 3 months in subscription or £15 to gain access to the full analysis. The analysis also allows you to ask me questions because in the course there is a button there for comments. So if you have any questions, you can reach out directly to me and then I'll answer you about the course and questions that has to do with any of the analysis that you're working on at the time. Now, additionally, at Mr. Quickest Teaches, we also provide tuition services as well for the other components of the English literature. Remember, we have the drama, the unseen paper, and also the prose, plus the poetry as well. I mean, some of the schools only do the drama, short stories, and then the poetry. But we have all of those components, and Mr. Quickest Teaches, we can help you in all the 4 components. Now, additionally, Mr. Quickest Teaches as well, we also provide tuition services for the other subjects in the GCSE or IGCSE. So we provide help in English language, history, geography, sociology, math, the sciences, triple sciences. We have a group of teachers that come together and work together to help ready you for the exam so that you ace your papers. So we help build your confidence, help you practice past papers, predicted papers, show you best practices, how to use time, build your confidence, among other things. So essentially, we ready you for the exam to make sure that you ace and then you come out with flying colors. So sign up. The first lesson for any of our tuition services is a trial lesson. So that means that you try out, and then if you like it, you can stick and stay, and you can book as many lessons as possible. Even if it's a short period and you need to be prepared very quickly, we have teachers that can help you with a very flexible timetable to make sure that you're ready for the exam. So please reach out to us. Now, additionally, if you have any questions or queries, you can send an email to me. The email address is mrq@mrquickestteachers.com, or you can also send the email to mrquickestteachers@gmail.com, or leave it in the comments field on any of my social media handles where you find this video, and I'll reach out to you and see how best to help you to make sure that you ace your exam and you're ready when the time comes. Let's begin the analysis of Song. Now let's begin by speaking about the poet George Dzirtes. He was born on the 29th of November 1948 in Hungary, and he immigrated to England with his parents, who were survivors of concentration and labor camps after the 1956 Budapest uprising. Dzirtes studied painting at Harrow School of the Arts and Leeds College of Art and Design. So he was a writer and also a painter as well. In 2024, he was awarded the King's College Medal, the King's Gold Medal for poetry. That's a brief note on the poet. So you can do a bit more research to find out more information on him. Now, this is how the poem appears. Sorry, I've sort of cramped it together because I want you to see how it looks. The poem actually has 32 lines, right? Essentially, it's a poem about how people can find freedom, by the actions of one person. Essentially, that's a summary of the poem, and it's dedicated to Helen Sussman. Now, let me begin my analysis by reading the poem, sung by Dzirtes for Helen Sussman. Nothing happens until something does. Everything remains just as it was, and all you hear is a distant buzz of nothing happening till something does. A lot of small hands in a monstrous hall can make the air vibrate and even shake a wall. A voice can break a plate or glass, and one pale feather tip the balance of a sinking ship. It's the very same tune that has been sung time and again by those whose heavy fate has hung on the weights that they oppose, the weight by which are crushed the broken voices of the hushed. But give certain people a place to stand, a lever, a fulcrum, a weight, however small the hand, the object however great. It is possible to prove that even earth may be made to move. Nothing happened until something does, and hands however small fill the air, so the buzz of the broken fills the hall as levers and fulcrums shift, and the heart like a weight begins to lift. Nothing happens until something does. Everything remains just as it was, and all you hear is a distant buzz of nothing happening, then something does. Now, you see, the poem begins with a dedication to Helen Sussman. Helen Sussman was born in 1917, and then she passed in 2009. She was a South African anti-apartheid campaigner. So that's to whom the poem is dedicated. And that sort of signals to us that the theme of freedom and fighting for freedom is key. Because, during the apartheid government, the white people and the blacks were separated by laws. And then the blacks were not treated fairly. Now, another key thing I want us to look at is the use of italics. So stanzas 1 and stanza 2 of the poem is italicized. And I think it's italicized to bring focus to it. In fact, later on we see that the later stanzas as well also italicized because it's a repetition of the same fact. But I just want you to note that in terms of the stylistic device that is used by Dzirtes. Now, the detail, nothing happens until something does, is a direct statement that claims that change does not happen until action is taken. So nothing happens until something does. So without action, nothing will change. So without taking action, nothing will change. And it's also claiming that when it seems like a situation will never change, then the situation suddenly changes. Now the line, everything remains just as it was, expands on the direct statement that has been made in the first line. Remember, the first line is a sentence. We see the full stop at the end of it. So that expands on that claim that we made that nothing happened until something does. So it's a direct statement because it restates the situation. It restates, that the situation does not just change. So we see that everything remains just as it was. Then we see the blend of the second person point of view and then onomatopoeia. And we see that in the line that says, and all you hear is a distant buzz. So you there is the second person that creates the impression that the speaker of the poetic voice is speaking directly to the reader. So you hear all that you hear. It's trying to tell us, the signs of what will happen before change comes. Now, the detail of nothing happening till something does suggests that change comes suddenly out of the blue. It's a sudden thing. It's not something that you can predict. Sometimes it just happens. People just rise up and fight for their freedom, and then they are free. And the second stanza of the poem, we see the use of juxtaposition. And that we see when it says a lot of small hands. The word hands there is synodicy. When you use a part to represent the whole. So hands there is like a reference or a symbol for human beings essentially. So it's a synodicy, right? And it's also a metaphorical allusion to the countless number of people, a lot of small hands. So that's countless number of people that lack power. It's an allusion to them. They lack power and influence in the world. While in a monstrous hall may be an allusion to the influential people of the world. and their power is monstrous. Small hands, observe the juxtaposition there. Small hands, something very little, monstrous, something, that is extremely big. But there are lots of them, right? That's why we see there a lot of. Now, the adjective monstrous powerfully juxtaposes the enormous influence of those in the halls of power to the insignificance of the small people. So when you look at the power that those who wield power have, and you look at the lack of might of the small people, you think that they can never ever be free. But no, they can, with their many small hands. Now, in lines 2 and 3 of this stanza, we see the effects that their small hands have on this monstrous or hall. The first effect is that they can make the air vibrate. So essentially, they can bring some discomfort. Air vibrates, it's like a little discomfort. Now, air vibrate is also an allusion to the small changes that can occur. And if you've heard about the butterfly effect, you know what I'm trying to say. So the butterfly effect means that, or says that, a small action in one part of the world can have a very, very profound effect on another part of the world. So small hands, the little things that we do, can change things. Now, the second effect of the small hands is that they can even shake a wall. That word even is like something that people do not even expect. Now, it means that a simple action can break barriers that separate people. The wall that may be an allusion to the Berlin Wall, for example, the fall of the Berlin Wall. How the little people, when they finally rose up, brought it down and caused the bringing together of what was formerly the divided country Germany. So East and West Germany was essentially brought back together. So even shake a wall, even you think that you have small influence or you have no influence. No, you can do something mighty. You can shake a wall, so you can bring a bit more discomfort. Air vibrate, little discomfort. Shake the wall is a much more forceful discomfort to those in power. Now, in terms of the themes of the poem, we see fight for freedom. Song as a way to fight for freedom. We see themes like the suppression of people and their fight to be liberated. We also see a theme like small actions by little people causes liberation. We also see the theme of class system and subjugation of the powerless by the powerful, among other themes, right? So those are like the themes that we see, fight for freedom. Now, in terms of the tone of the poem, one of the key tones I see is the call to action. Essentially, the speaker is calling his listener, whoever it is that is reading the poem, to act. Act. Don't waste time. We also see that it's also morale building as well. He wants to build a morale to take action. And it's also very encouraging as well. So essentially, he says, no matter how weak you are and how powerful the foe is they are fighting against, it's just a matter of time before you overthrow them. Now, in terms of the point of view of the poem is recounted mostly in the second person point of view. And we see that in the speaker's repetition of the word you multiple times in reference to his listener. So that creates the impression that he's encouraging them to fight for their freedom. So he's speaking directly to the reader that, see, if you're being subjugated or you're imprisoned, fight. You're being oppressed, fight. Fight your oppressors and gain your freedom essentially. So here you have it, George. Dzirtes' poem song has been simplified. Like I mentioned in the opening of the analysis, this analysis is part of a course that contains all the 15 poems in the GCSE or IGCSE anthology. So it's a course, and the course also contains predicted questions for each of the poems, and also sample A-star or grade 9 essays or that you can mimic and see what to include, for example, in your introduction and the body of your essay, how to use the PEE or PEA or PEEL systems in writing, and also how to use conjunctions to make your writing flow. Furthermore, also additionally, finally, in conclusion, or things like that, to make your writing flow. You see that in the sample essays. And then you can gain access to it for only £5 a month in subscription. So £5 a month in subscription, or for the entirety of the year, £45. That means you get to save 3 months in subscription or £15. So additionally, we also provide tuition services as well in the other components of the English literature, the drama, the unseen paper, and then the prose, and also the poetry as well if you need help. Now, at Mr. Quickest Teaches, we also provide other assistance as well, other tuition services for the other subjects: English language, geography, history, sociology, math, the sciences. And all your first lesson is a trial lesson. So essentially that means that you join the lesson, and see our teaching techniques. If it's something that works for you, you can book as many lessons as you want in the course of the week, subject to availability, and then we'll see how best to prepare you for the exam. So that you can do. Now, additionally, if you want to reach out to me because you have any questions or queries, you can send me an email to the email address mrq@mrquickestteaches.com. mrq@mrquickestteaches.com, or you can send the email to mrquickestteaches@gmail.com. If you have other questions as well, and you think that maybe writing an email is too cumbersome, you can leave your queries to me on any of my social media handles where you find this analysis, and then I'll reach out to you and then see how best to help you prepare for an exam and make sure that you ace it. Now, thank you for joining this analysis. Until the next time, from me, Mr. Quickest. Bye-bye.